Hi guys, welcome to another update. 325 hours this time around. Now, if you watched my last update, you will know that I spoke about the difficulty that I found within that 60 hours before I released the last update. Now, throughout this video, I'm going to talk about what content I'm watching now. I'm going to talk about my daily, hourly input, translated in my head. I'm also going to talk about crosstalking and podcasts, while simultaneously relating to the improvements I have made to help my circumstances with watching the content. So let's get straight into it. What am I watching? So right now, obviously, I'm on intermediate level content. So when I'm feeling good, focused and switched on, I'm usually watching videos around the difficulty rating 58 to 59 because I'm finding the pace good and it really keeps my attention. The subjects as well are maybe not a lot more complex, but they're certainly more complex than what you're watching in the early intermediate stages. That's for sure. So I've noticed what I do. I tend to do better with watching videos that are no longer than 10 minutes. Sometimes I'm happy to watch videos that are half an hour, but I find it's better for me to break it down. So relating to the improvements that I've made from my last update, I recognise now when I'm feeling tired, a little bit overwhelmed and maybe just not as focused, I recognise now that it's healthy for me to drop down to easier content. There is plenty of easier content left for me to consume. I've been so strict on watching Spanish content, Espana dialect content, that I barely touched the Latin American. Now I've released myself from the shackles that I placed upon myself. There's a whole lot of new content out there for me to watch, especially easier content. So with doing that, I've allowed myself a lot more space for a breather if I'm struggling to focus, if I'm finding the content difficult, or if simply I'm just not in the mood for complex content. So that's been really good. One of the things I have been watching recently is Stardew Valley. So I barely touched Stardew Valley when I was in the beginner stages, and I'm watching season 1, which is all beginner difficulty level rating. So that's really good. Sometimes, if I'm completely honest, I find that content to have quite advanced vocabulary. So it just shows, doesn't it, that I really do need to expose myself to this content, and I can still learn. Which is really good. So I'll move on to my daily, hourly input now. So as I've said before, I've become more flexible. The pressure I was putting myself before was unhealthy. I couldn't relax until I got 3 hours of input a day. I thought that this was going to help me advance quicker and faster. Instead, this was just causing me stress. Balancing a full-time job along with college assignments, weekly college assignments, along with keeping fit, maintaining healthy relationships with family and my partner, as well as having a social life, just added a lot of pressure. And the 3 hours input caused me stress. So I've become more flexible. And I can really tell as well, because through becoming more flexible, it's allowed me to enjoy the content a lot more. So if I get 3 hours a day, I'm absolutely ecstatic. I'm really happy with 2 hours a day. I can always manage an hour a day. If I'm feeling ill, if I'm really busy, I can break that hour a day into 15-minute segments. It's only 4 segments. I think most people can do that, and I suppose it's just about prioritising, isn't it? And I know I can prioritise an hour out of my day every day. So, but most of the time I'm getting between 2 and 3. But the key for me right now, and this is something I'm going to try and maintain throughout the rest of my journey, is to make sure I'm enjoying it. Yes, okay, I recognise that there are going to be days when I am not feeling it. There are going to be days when I'm not understanding the word that's being said, I'm going to feel completely lost. And there are going to be days where I simply cannot be arsed. But I know I can always manage an hour a day, and I suppose that's where your discipline comes in, isn't it? And as I learned from my last update, the bad patches, bad moments do not last, same as good moments. It's about riding that roller coaster, isn't it? And this is something that I've definitely made improvements to my circumstances to enable me to do that. I'm just going to say as well, if you notice I keep looking to the right hand side, I've got some notes written there because I'm quite a forgetful person. So translating, this is something that I know a lot of people have had issues with, myself included. So it's been a problem for me since I started my Dreaming Spanish journey. It's something that I didn't necessarily think was ever going to stop, because I made too many relations with words that I'd hear in the content to the English word. But I'm over the moon to say that over the last 20 to 25 hours, I've noticed that I'm translating less and less. I'm beginning to take the Spanish content for what it is, and this is brilliant. This is brilliant because it's saving me so much energy in translating word for word. I can keep up with faster content. It's definitely a turning point for me in my journey. Don't get me wrong, I'm still translating now and again. Probably the more difficult words, the more advanced vocabulary I am translating, but I'm starting to let go of it, and this is only going to improve over time. So for anybody who is having problems with translating in their head in the early stages of the Dreaming Spanish journey, you will stop it eventually. You will begin to let go of that process. Just keep consuming content. Pablo is so right in what he says. For any problem you're coming across with whilst consuming comprehensible input, the answer is comprehensible input, because it's working for me. So next thing, I want to move on to podcasts. Now, podcasts, right now I'm going to talk about podcast friendly videos. There's a filter for that if you haven't seen that on the Dreaming Spanish update. But anyway, I started utilising podcast friendly videos, probably in the late beginning stages, early intermediate, that crossover section. Why? Because they're brilliant. They are brilliant. I travel on the bus a few times a week. I do a lot of walking. So whenever I've got a spare 15, 20, 30 minutes, I can stick my headphones in and use one of these podcast friendly videos. But now I've progressed a little bit more. Now I'm up 325 hours, that's this update. Dreaming Spanish have started to release those new podcasts. I think they began in October last year. Now they're mainly Latin American, which is fine, which is great. But I've found most of them quite difficult. The ones I have found relatively easy have been the ones with Alma in. I think there's one called Do Spaniards Lack Ambition? Now that's a brilliant podcast, and I've utilised that a few times on my bus journeys because they're great, because they're half an hour long. I can just sit on the bus, I can listen, and nothing disturbs me. Great set of headphones as well. So yeah, they're really good. But the ones that I am finding more difficult are the Latin American ones. Now, I've already spoke about this today. I believe this is because the lack of exposure I've had to Latin American content. This is something I'm going to fix. So hopefully in my next update that I bring to you guys, maybe in 100 hours or so, I'm going to talk about the improvements that I have found with exposing myself to Latin American content. Like I've said before, I have avoided it because I was worried about the final product in terms of my accent, in terms of my pronunciation. But I'm at a stage now where I need to let go of that, because most of the problems that I'm coming across are self-inflicted, they are restraints that I've applied to myself. So I need to be more flexible to allow myself to grow more. So with them being difficult, this isn't a problem. Like I said, it's an indicator to where I am and where I need to improve. So hopefully this is going to be fixed within the next update, or progressing a little bit later on. So brings me on to Crosstalk. Now, Crosstalk is something that I never really thought I would get onto. The reason I have started Crosstalk, obviously Pablo swears by it, doesn't he? There's a video of him going through his day-to-day routine with learning languages, of getting input. I think most of what Pablo does is crosstalk. But I was watching a video, an update from another member of the Dreaming Spanish community. You've probably seen their page. They do really great videos, the pair of them. It's Greg and Lisa Lewis. Now, this video was on their most recent update where Lisa was alone. And Lisa was talking about, I think those guys are at like 800, 900 hours. I'm not completely sure. It might be more, might be less. But they were talking about how they wished they had done crosstalk sooner. Now, at this point, I think I was just past 300 hours of input. So I took them up on their advice, and I reconnected with a talking buddy I made right at the beginning of my journey when I was using the traditional sense back in, I think this was back in July last year. I reconnected with him. Now, I stopped speaking to him because I didn't know enough. I was trying to speak to him on the phone and I didn't know any Spanish to speak, never mind to understand. So I temporarily put our language learning relationship on hold until I acquired enough Spanish to be able to bring this relationship back to life. And this is exactly what I've done. Now, I've done 2 sessions of crosstalk with him. First one was last Tuesday, and I was really nervous about starting this crosstalk because of the experience I'd had in the past with talking to me. It's deeply embarrassing when you have no idea what somebody's saying to you, yet you're trying to learn. But anyway, I put my fear to the side and I reconnected with the guy, and it couldn't have got better. It could not have got better. I understood 98% of what was being said, and anything I didn't understand, because of where I am at in my ability for comprehension, Rodo, that's the guy I'm speaking with, he's able to explain what it is he said, or the words that I don't understand, an alternative way in Spanish. So I'm learning on top of learning, and this is crucial, because if there's anything you don't understand when you're receiving content in the form of podcasts or in the form of films or in the form of videos, the only way you can find out what that word means or words mean is by searching them up either in a dictionary or Google Translator through the subtitles. Obviously, Pablo says not to do this, but with crosstalk, once you find a gap in the conversation, you can simply say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know what this word meant," or "Can you just explain that last bit to me, but in a different way?" And you're learning on top of learning. It's fantastic. Now, there's like an unwritten rule, really. We speak for an hour long, supposedly. I've spoke for the least amount of time I've spoke is 90 minutes. Maximum is an hour and 45 minutes. I don't get tired when I'm crosstalk. I don't get bored. As long as I've got the time, I'm happy to talk and talk and talk and talk. So the reason I am telling you this is because if you haven't started crosstalk yet, start. Get yourself on Tandem, find a language partner app that works for you, and develop a good relationship with this person. It's fantastic. I'll give you an example of the kind of things we talk about. So one of the things is motivation in language learning. Rodo asked me this question. He was speaking about a cousin of his who's struggling to learn English, and he was asking me what my motivation was. Another example is travel aspirations. Where do you want to go? Where do I want to live? What do I want to see? Brilliant conversation. And I'll give you another one, last one. Classes within society. Now, that is quite a complex conversation with complex vocabulary. This Tuesday I had this conversation. I was over the moon by the time I finished the call, put the phone down and processed what we had spoken about, because Rhoda was speaking to me about classes within society within Venezuela. Is a topic I have no idea of, a topic I wouldn't have any idea of unless I researched it or I spoke to somebody from the country. So it was brilliant to have that that insight into somebody else's world, into somebody else's perspective. And this is all because of Crosstalk. This is all because I've been acquiring Spanish. This is all because I now understand a limited amount of Spanish. It's brilliant. So how am I feeling? As you can tell, I'm very, very happy with my level of comprehension at the minute. I'm 328 hours into acquiring Spanish, and I couldn't be more happy. I'm having a lot of fun in understanding more complex topics compared to the beginner stages and the very, very early intermediate stages. Crosstalk has given me a huge amount of confidence. It's a huge confidence boost, and you know, I'm now deciding whether to either ask Rodo for more conversations in Crosstalk on a weekly basis, or branch out and try and get to know other people from other different countries. So I'm very, very happy at the minute with how everything is going. So I'm going to release another update in the next probably 100 hours or so. We'll see how it goes. But if you guys have got any advice for me, or you guys have got any questions for me, please get in touch. I'm not a big YouTuber. I don't aim to be a big YouTuber. And I love it when you guys get in touch. I love it when I see a notification for a comment. So yeah, get in touch. Let me know how you're getting on. I'm super interested. Nice one, guys. Take care. Thank you.